Here's a comedy-centric moment.
No.
but it was
Oh God, that's hysterical. And
unbelievable.
and Orson Welles, what was it? What was the story?
Oh, that
I,
that
I,
that was
but he
uh,
liked you.
well. Yeah, he did because they wanted to do The Man Who Came to Dinner, which was a famous
Right.
Moss Hart show, and the only person they could, it was the Hallmark Hall of Fame, and the only person they could figure that could do it was Orson Welles because he
Mhm.
was that big a character. And the problem was that Orson Welles owed so much money to the IRS that he couldn't work in America because they would grab the money before he even left the studio. So they decided they had to do it in London. So we went to London for 6 weeks. And in the process, very as quickly as I can make this, he was using Upman cigars that were $10, $20, or $30 a piece. I don't remember because the character smoked cigars and they were like telephone poles,
Mhm.
And he would use one and then he would just put it down and leave it and get another one. And we were going through $300 worth of cigars a day, and we had 6 weeks of rehearsal. So the director, Buzz Kulick, who was a really fine director, he directed Brian's Song, which was one of the truly great first
Yeah.
television movies. But he decided he was going to be the director who controlled Orson Welles, and that person does not exist. And wherever Orson Welles is now residing, be it heaven or hell, that person is not controlling Orson Welles. There was no such thing. So they were going to have a confrontation with Wells, and I said, let me try something. So it's funny. There are times when you accomplish something, but it looks like you're giving in to the star, and everybody thinks you're giving in. But what's happening is you're working out what he needs, and it hasn't cost you anything. But nobody, I mean, it happened with Marlowe all the time because Sam and Marlowe just didn't like one another. Sam was a very chauvinistic guy, and
Wow.
I mean, she loved what he wrote, but she didn't. She fought with him constantly, and I worked out constantly. I was working out things where they both got what they wanted, but Sam was angry at me all the time. He says, "You're catering to her." I said, "I'm not catering to her. I'm catering to you and to her to get what you want." But like with Wells, I worked out a thing. I called the Upman Cigar Company in London and I said, "We're doing the thing, and Orson Welles is using your cigars, and I think you'd probably be happy to know that. And we just wonder if you would be willing to supply the cigars." And they were thrilled, you know. So they said, "Well, I have to." The guy said, "Well, I have to talk to the board or whatever." He said, "So I can't do it today." I said, "Well, okay, send the cigars today, and I'll pay for them." And never said a word. And then the deal worked out. And about 2 days later, Orson Welles, after the rehearsal, he called me. He had this woman, Mrs. I mean, her name was perfect. It's like Cattersby or whatever. And she was about 60 years old. And you know that she was in love with him for her whole life. And she would protect him. She would die for him. And, uh, and what happened was Orson Welles was getting drunk in the afternoon, but all he was doing was drinking coffee from this urn, black coffee. And everybody said, "Oh, well, that came after." The first thing is Wells called me in, and he came out of his shower with a robe, and I mean, you couldn't outdo him for him being him. You couldn't make up stuff better than he did, and. So he said, "Did you have a drink there, Bill?" And I said, "Oh, yeah, it was really good." He said, "Good?" He said, "That is 100-year-old Bushmills. If you don't understand the difference between that and the crap you've been drinking, I misunderstand who you are." And anyway, And he said, I want you to know that I know what you did. And nobody ever said anything. And he said, and I appreciate it. And he said, so of all the people on this show, I trust you. And I said, well, thank you very much. And so when they found out about, it was about the drinking, I was the guy, he trusts you, go talk to him. I said, why should I ruin him trusting me? It's friggin' Orson Welles. I said to Miss Cattersby, okay, if he doesn't do this show, if he drinks and it falls apart, he'll never work again.